Who's your emergency contact? Who should be notified in case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I'm currently in Florence, and I think this incident that happened, it made national news coverage. You guys remember the guy, they call him Whitey Bulger. I'm not sure what his real name is, but he was a mobster. I think it was some Winter Hill gang out there in Boston. He started out, but he ended up taking over the scene out there in Boston. I think the story was he had a friend that he grew up with that became an FBI agent. So them two together worked together to kind of, take over the city of Boston. Whitey Bulger was feeding the FBI agent cases, and the FBI agent was hipping him to whatever was going on with his department. They had a working relationship. In '94, the federal government put a RICO out on Whitey Bulger, but his partner that was working in the FBI told him about it, so he went on the run. He was on the run for almost, 15, 16 years. They caught him around 2011. And this is what brings us to our story. It's around October. I know it's October of 18. When I share you guys these stories, I'm not going back to research someone's cases or anything. I'm not trying to give you the details in that aspect. Like if I did read someone's case, then I would tell you exactly what's in someone's case. So all the stories that I share with you is just giving you a glimpse of my life, the things I see, the things I hear, and the conversations that I engage in from my perspective. On this day, we were getting around October 2018. The reason I remember this incident so clearly is because we were locked down and something had happened leading up to what was going on with Whitey Bulger. Well, on this day, they had a football game out in the yard. It's October, so it's football season. Everybody goes out to the field to go watch football. But in Florence, the units are all split. Like I told you, if you're in EA, EB, you're gonna wreck with EA and EB. If you're in DA, like I was in, you only wreck with DA and DB. But DB is a psych ward. So we basically just wreck with our block. And then you have CA and CB that wreck together. Well, on this particular day, it's morning rec. They got a football game out in the morning, but it's not our yard. So if you're not on the football team, you can't go out because they're calling the yard for CA and CB. But if you got players that play on your team that are in other units, they have a list that they'll call so you can go out there and go play the game. But me, I go out to the yard, because it's 3 yards. They play football in yard 1 with the track. Then they got a little yard 2 and then a yard 3. So on the days that I can't go out and be on the yard on yard 1 to watch the game, I still go out to yard 3 or yard 2 and just watch the game through the fence. So, everything, the game went, you saw a few good hits, a few good catches, just whatever routine, regular football game. And everything was good. They called recall. We came back in. Well, when we came back in, about 5-10 minutes after after they closed the movement, the deuces go off. Now the deuces is an emergency panic signal. That's what we call it deuces. Every COs that work in the correctional facility has a body alarm that hooks up on their belt. And the way the body alarm works, of course, if you hit the button, it's going to send out the signal notifying all the other staff that there's an incident over here. But also, I think they have some type of liquid in that body alarm, so if somehow it gets turned sideways for too long, it sets off the alarm too. I think they do it that way just in case, like one of the officers got knocked out and nobody knew about it and he's just laying in the floor somewhere, you know. But the deuces go off, you know, and every time the deuces go off, every time we see the guards running, you know, you hear the keychain jingling and all the noise, it always shoots a rush of adrenaline through your body. You know, is your subconscious mind letting you know, hey, be alert, be alert, be alert, because it's danger, danger. So everybody goes to the window and looks out because we always want to see, like, what, at the very least, what race is involved. Because, like I've always tell you, if you look out the window and you see a black dude and a white dude getting into it, you already know it's not going to be contained with just them two individuals, especially if it wasn't sanctioned. Somebody is always going to jump. So when you see that, if a black guy or a white guy is getting into it, and if you're one of those, either black or white, you better turn around and put your back to the wall or go find yourself a victim, you know? So the deuces go off, and we're waiting to see what's going on, like who was involved. It happened in CB, and they escort out a little white guy. I mean, not a little white guy, my bad, but a little black guy. Now I can't see. I'm in DA, so I'm watching. It's a little distance, about at least maybe 150 yards from where I'm standing to see him walking on the walk. So they got like three COs escorting a dude, handcuffed behind his back, taking him up to the lieutenant patio. And then right after him, about 5-10 minutes later, because it took a while, we're like, damn, who did this guy get into it with? And so we're just waiting. And like I said, it took forever. Like 5 minutes sitting there waiting to see something, or 10 minutes is a long ass time. So finally, you see the nurses, you know, the PA. I think they call them PA for physician assistants. But, you know, you see a couple of them up front. And then coming out, you know, I'm looking at from my angle, I can see, like, it's a stretcher, right? So I'm like, damn, okay, something serious, because now they got a stretcher out that they're pushing out of the unit. I mean, I seen them bring the stretcher into the block, but they always, you know, when there's a stabbing or there's a fight and they hit the panic button, you know, the staff, the guards, they'll run over there to aid and assist, but they got other guards that will run to go grab the weapons, the shotgun, the bean bags, or whatever. And then you got the nurses. The nurses are coming there with their medical equipment, and one of them is a freaking stretcher. You know, they're running, it's got wheels, they're running down. It's, you know, if you're on the yard and the deuces go off, you see the COs run. You know, when they run into the unit and it gets quiet, and then you see the door for medical pop open, and a bunch of freaking nurses and PA are running out of there with a stretcher, you already know it's bad. You know, and no matter how you feel, even if you get accustomed to the violence, like for me personally, yeah, it's entertaining, but it's always, at the end of the day, just a sad situation, you know, because a lot of the times that people lose their lives over, the incidents that they lose their lives over was really something stupid and ridiculous, you know, because this motherfucker don't know how to be courteous, don't know how to be polite, or because this dumbass got sticky fingers and don't know how to leave shit that don't belong to him alone. And it's just, yeah, you know, I just don't understand why we do that to ourselves. We're already in a hostile environment as it is. Like, every single day, your senses are on high alert. And yet, there's individuals that choose to just not conduct themselves in the way they should to get along and create more unnecessary problems for themselves. So the stretchers come out, and I see the PA and the guard all around the stretcher, you know, pushing it. And there's a body on the stretcher. So, usually the body, if somebody's got hurt really bad, like it got maybe like a back injury or a neck injury, they'll put them on a stretcher and just strap them on. And then they're pushing him or walking him to the, like if he's bleeding or whatever, they'll be rushing him, running to the medical. Or if it's not an emergency, they just, slowly walk him. So they weren't in a hurry, So my first impression, maybe it wasn't that serious. Maybe he had a, injury somewhere and they're just taking their time. But as the stretcher come out further from the corner where I was looking, and you could see more of it, as it comes out, that bottom part, I know there's a body on the stretcher, but there's also a sheet over the body. You already know when they put a sheet over you, it's bad news. So when they come out, the COs are escorting this stretcher. There's a body on the stretcher with a sheet over it. But as they're walking, you can see the guy's arm hanging off the side. Like, I don't even think they strapped his whole body in because he was already, fucked off. And so as they're walking, you can see his body, his arm, one of his arm hanging out of the side of the stretcher, just swinging, like lifeless. So it's like, ooh, he's dead, right? So we're like, oh shit, we're gonna be locked down for a minute because it's a body. So, so we get locked down. Now, I guess this incident has been brewing for however long that's been going on, because when people came in off the yard and the deuces went off, when they seen who it was, like some of the people in my block already knew what the issue was. They didn't know exactly what happened because we weren't in there, but they knew what the issue was. Well, it turned out that these two dudes, one of them was serving a 7-year sentence. Now, this is what I really want the civilians to wrap their mind around. What happens to an individual once they enter that gate, once that gate is locked, once they're behind that wall surrounded by the gun towers and barbed wire fence? I know the civilians are always like, doesn't matter what happens in there. They're all a bunch of criminals. They're all a bunch of rapists and child molesters and whatever else. Scum of the earth. So what does it matter what happens behind there? Let them all kill themselves. And they never really even give it a second thought of the environment that they are putting all these individuals in. Because we're not all equal. And when I say not all equal, is that not all of us really deserve the time that we've been given. And not all of us are a dangerous person that warrants the condition that we're being housed in. But all they see is the black and white. Oh, here's a robbery or whatever, drug. And they have their guideline, and that's how you're gonna get sentenced. So, okay, so sorry I'm getting distracted because I'm just not sure how I can emphasize this point to the public. One guy was serving a 7-year sentence. I don't know how long he was into his sentence, but another guy was getting out in 2 years. So, but the guy that's serving a 7-year sentence, he already been there for a minute. So I'm pretty sure he was close to coming home. And I'm sorry, but just losing your life over something like this it kind of pisses me off, but it's almost embarrassing that we've been reduced to this state that we're gonna kill each other over this dumb shit. Yeah, I'm having a hard time just trying to express my thought, just because, when someone loses their life, dead is dead, right? But for me personally, I would like, at least do something that I love. Like if I jump off, out of a plane and my parachute don't open and I die, I'm not gonna be mad about it because I went out there and I wanted to enjoy the adventure and I knew the risk. Or if I'm on the front line defending my principle or something and it doesn't work out for me and I lose my life, I guess I'm okay with that. But, again, dead is dead. But you don't want to lose your life over something stupid, especially when they got to send a letter to your family. They got to send a letter to your family letting you know that you no longer alive, and where would they like the body to be sent? This is facts. So, but also they're gonna tell your people like what happened, like if you OD'd or if you were in a riot or if you got killed, and then they might even tell you why you got killed. I don't know the extent of the conversation, and I'm so grateful that my family's never had to have that conversation. But there's a lot of families in there that's had that phone call, that's had that conversation, and what it looked like. Your family get a call and say you've been killed, and the reason you've been killed was over a freaking lover's quarrel. Yeah, I said that right. Like these two dudes been going back and forth for however many days and weeks over a punk. I guess they were both in love with another dude. I don't know if they were both fucking him or not, but they end up having, they got jealous over it. And to the point where the little dude's like, man, I'm trying to see you. And they went into the room and the little dude stabbed the other dude one time. He stabbed the dude one time before the incident got broken up or whatever. Dude got stabbed up one time. I've known people that's been stabbed up 20, 30 times and survived. This guy got stabbed up one time and died. If I can remember correctly, it was October 28, 2018. I'm sitting in my cell listening to NPR, and they were telling a story about the incident that happened in CB in Florence on NPR. And that's how I knew that one guy had 7 years and another guy only had 2 years left. But now, one is dead, and the other one is gonna get whatever time he's gonna get for killing him. But as I'm listening to this broadcast, this news clip on NPR, they chime in, breaking news. Whitey Bulger was discovered dead in his cell in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. I'm like, what? Whitey Bulger? I know that name. And then I remember when I was in the Smooth, a friend of mine that was there with me was in another prison with Whitey Bulger. In fact, my buddy Omar, my cellie Omar that I just left, was in a facility with Whitey Bulger, right? I mean, the guy's old already, but he's a legend. But they sent him to Tucson, Arizona. But while he's there, like a few people gave him a hard time because, a lot of people think he's a rat. But from his perspective, he's like, man, I'm not a rat. This is what I did to take over the city. But anyway, he had people over there that went in the room, beat him up and all that stuff. But he never told. He's an old man now. But when Omar was telling me, that when you look at him, you know that this dude is dangerous. This dude's a killer. But he's what? Late 60s, early 70s now before he died. So he's already way past his prime. So a lot of these dudes that came through that met him then, weren't really intimidated or scared by him. But they also knew that he was also infamous. And Omar was telling me that he had a lot of friends that would have people do drawings and stuff or paintings, whatever he could buy, painting stuff, and he would take it to Whitey Bulger and just have him put his signature on it, making like that he did the drawing or the painting. and sent it home for safekeeping. And right now, I'm pretty sure those drawings with Whitey Bulger's signature on it, because he didn't draw or paint them, is probably worth some coin. But, you know, the feds, they know your case. They know your situation. So if they know I'm from Utah, but I have a lot of clout here, or I have a lot of enemies here, or whatever, when they send me to federal prison, they're probably gonna put me in a place that I'm not gonna be around any people that I have influence over, or be around people that wants to kill me. You know, I know people don't like conspiracies and stuff, but Whitey Bulger got transferred from another facility to Hazleton, Pennsylvania. Hazleton, Pennsylvania is right next to Boston. That's the backyard. That was his stomping ground. But not only his stomping ground, that was where he killed a lot of people and created a lot of enemy, the FBI included. You know, the FBI knew where he was for 16 years. He was living out there in California somewhere. But they didn't go get him because they were afraid that what he knew, like him and his partner, the FBI dude, they were in bed together. Like the FBI agency, whatever he was doing, if they indicted Whitey Bulger for the crimes that he committed and for all the murders or whatever they put him in prison for, well, they need to hold the FBI agent and that team accountable too that was enabling him. You know, they got these dudes, they got this killer. They know this dude's a fucking killer. They know this dude's a gangster. But they're going to protect him because they're hoping that he can go get them bigger fishes. Well, shit, Whitey Bulger was the big fish in Boston. So how does that even work? You got the dude that's running a freaking gang, organized crime, partner up with the FBI. Like, I don't knock Whitey Bulger for it, but I mean, you know, I'm having my experience with these federal governments, with the FBI agents, and at every turn, at every corner, I'm bombarded with just information that there's no integrity in the FBI agency. You know, these crusaders that sign up to save the world, they get frustrated with the regulations and the rules that might handcuff them to get a conviction. So they disregard it. Like I said, I've told you, if you sit in a room with an FBI agent, all you gotta do is say that you said something and it can be submitted into court against you. But yeah, Whitey Bulger got sent to Hazleton. And like I said, over there, he's got a lot of enemies. And not just from the people in the streets, but also the federal government, because the FBI felt like he knew a lot about the stuff that was going on, or he knew information that could look bad on them. And they allowed him to be on the run for 16 years. Who else can go on the run and stay in America from the FBI and exist for 16 years? They know everything. They got satellite. They can find you. I promise. They found bin Laden in the middle of a fucking mountain in Pakistan, so they can find your ass over here in America somewhere. But my thing is, like, I don't want to get into the conspiracy part or anything like that, but I've been in prison. So I know how things work. When they lock you into a cell, especially when you come in, when they lock you into a cell, that cell is secure. Meaning the guards got the key to it, can lock it and unlock it. Also, they already know your history. So SIS is already gonna know, hey, this guy can't be on this compound because there's a lot of dudes here that are members of gangs that he's killed. You know? But yet, they sent him over there. And within 24 hours, he was dead. From what I heard on the news was that they poked out his eyes and cut out his tongue. Me, I'm in a cell locked down in Florence, listening to the news. But my common sense tells me he got transferred over to Hazleton for that purpose, to get killed. Welcome to the USP.